Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Stardust event. And I'm so pleased to welcome Stephanie Brewer to the stage, to our virtual stage. But Stardust is a group that I manage at ASU, Stardust Center for Affordable Homes and the Family. And we're focused on increasing the capacity of cities to tackle affordable housing and workforce housing crises as we see them, and to help create healthy communities, because housing isn't just about the physical home, it's about health, and it's about family, and it's about trees and shade and transportation and access to food. So we are so pleased to be here and introduce Stephanie Brewer. So on July 1st of this year, Newtown Community Development Corporation gained a new executive director, Stephanie Brewer. Founded in 1994, Newtown is a leading provider of affordable housing services in the Phoenix metro area and serves thousands of people annually with housing and credit counseling, home buyer and financial education, and down payment assistance. Newtown also operates the largest community land trust in Arizona. I believe there's only 2 in the entire state. And we have Newtown founded here in Tempe. And as part of that CLT, they sell houses directly to first-time low and moderate income home buyers, and they create permanently affordable housing. Brewer has served as Newtown's deputy director since March 2016, and she took over leadership from Alan Carson, who retired on June 30th after 20 years of service. And Alan was a beloved figure in the community. With a background in construction and affordable housing, as well as nonprofit management, Brewer has already boosted Newtown's fundraising and expanded the number of houses in the Community Land Trust during her first 4 years with the organization, and is well positioned to lead Newtown in the future for its next phase of its growth. Brewer's goals include increasing local support for policies that promote affordable homeownership, diversifying Newtown's funding sources, and expanding the organization's geographic reach into more Arizona communities. With that, I welcome Stephanie, and also want to say that we'll have a presentation, and then we're going to open it up for Q&A. So please post your Q&A in the Q&A field you see at the bottom of the screen, and I will be feeding her the questions. And I look forward to a really robust discussion. Take it away, Stephanie. And I think you're muted, Stephanie.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
I thought I unmuted. Thank you, Lauren, and thanks for the opportunity to talk to the community about community land trusts and how great they are. And if you know me, you know that this is a topic I love to talk about. So let's get started. I'm going to do just a brief overview of Newtown and who Newtown is. So like Lauren said, we were established in 1994, but we didn't become a land trust until 2001 with the help of the city of Tempe. We are the largest and the oldest in the state of Arizona. But what really boosted a lot of the sales of the CLT was we also became a HUD-approved housing counseling agency in 2008. So we serve the buyer and we serve people getting ready to buy. So we get people prepared, and then we also have houses available once they're prepared. We have 140 units right now. We have houses in Chandler, Tempe, Scottsdale, and 2 in Glendale. Those were from a while ago, so we haven't branched back out to the West Valley yet. And we have given $6.5 million in down payment assistance funds. So we do provide down payment. We underwrite 2 of the city's down payment programs and work with the Federal Home Loan Bank of San Francisco to provide down payment assistance through them too. Our mission is to help improve financial well-being. And I think I specifically want to talk about this because Lauren talked about health. And it was really important for us in our mission to use well-being because that gives a sense of health, and really housing and health are so interconnected that it was important for us in the words that we used, that well-being be included. We do this through various ways, through education and counseling and coaching and all the pre-stuff to get everybody ready to buy. And then we develop the houses, but we also stay with the homeowners. That's one of the best things about CLTs. We don't go away. We're the developer that never goes away. So these are a breakout of all the programs that Newtown offers. We really do try to meet people where they're at, figuratively and literally. So, you know, if somebody's not ready to buy or not close to ready to buy, but we really need to start working on some credit issues, we kind of start with the basics. So we go through the whole process. It could take years. It could take 5 years. It could take 7 years. We have clients, we have very long-term clients also who stick with it. And it's especially satisfying when they end up buying a house. So CLT, where did this concept come from? Actually, the idea was published in 1797. So, you know, a long time ago, but it didn't actually come to fruition until 1969. So there was a lot of evolution through the 200 years that it took for it actually to come about. And it was New Communities, Inc. in Albany, Georgia. It is a rural area that was farmland, and the sharecroppers got together and were able to buy the land, because before they could be kicked off the land at any time by the person that owns the land. So one of the sharecroppers visited Israel and modeled the model that New Communities follows through the Jewish National Fund in Israel. So they were renting land to people for various purposes. So they really thought that that was a good model, and New Communities and the first CLT in the US began. It really, before we jump too far in though, I really want all of us to come at this from the same vantage point and a context that we all know is the reality right now. So from January 09 to January 19, housing prices rose by 110%. It would actually probably be higher if we went to probably July of this year. As Phoenix people know, there was this housing boom that happened after the first of the year, and still continues through the COVID crisis that we're in right now. But during that time, incomes only increased by 57%. So less than half. So we're not earning as much money as we should to be able to buy the houses that we need to live in. Oh, sorry. So CLTs really exist to provide housing to hardworking individuals who qualify for a mortgage, because you still have to qualify for a mortgage, but there are no houses for sale for what you can qualify for. You know, if you could qualify for $190,000, you're not finding much in the Valley lately. So this gives people an opportunity to have a mortgage, to build assets, to build equity, to build wealth, while being able to live somewhere that is affordable for them. So community land trust, what is it? It's a lot of things. It's a lot of things depending on where you are. Hence community. It allows the community to decide what the important things are for their community and how they want to steward the land and own the land. So for us, Newtown, we provide affordable housing, and that is what we do here. We do not have commercial spaces or community spaces and farmland. As originally, the original CLT was created for farmland. This is a very popular rural idea because of the land situation and the farming situation. So right now in the Valley, we, the Land Trust, only do affordable housing, but other people are doing great things with commercial and community spaces, and we would be up for that conversation. We just don't do it right now. So CLTs are generally defined by a service area. So Newtown is defined by Maricopa County. We can go outside of the county per our charter, but we choose to stay within Maricopa. There's enough need that we're still not meeting. So we're gonna stay around in Maricopa for a lot longer and not expand any further. Corporate membership, so people can buy into memberships for the CLT. They're usually the same fee that a homeowner might pay for the land lease. So our land lease fee is $35 a month. And so if somebody wanted to become a member of the Community Land Trust and support us, they could for $35, let's say a month. So it'd be an annual membership fee. But the best thing about a CLT is that the board is tripartite. That means that we have people on the board, that we're mandated to have people on the board that we serve. So right now, our board is half private industry and half homeowners. So the private industry, the staff, we are really getting to hear from the people we serve, and we're getting the people we serve to understand how Newtown works and to be a part of that and part of the decision-making process for that. So this is the big slide on how CLTs work. So the homeowner or the buyer buys just the house, just the improvements, and Newtown keeps ownership of the land. So it really is two separate parcels that we treat as two separate things. The best part, though, is that the homeowner can buy the property for below market value. This lets so many people get into houses that wouldn't have normally been able to buy, or they would have bought substandard housing. So that's still not where we want people to be. Then there's a 99-year lease. It is renewable. I would be surprised if I ever see one renewed, but they are renewable. And there is a restriction on the price that you can sell the house for. So that's what keeps it affordable in perpetuity. And we'll go over that in a little bit. I have an actual resale scenario. And this also requires owner occupancy. You can rent a room within your house if you would like to create some more income, but you cannot rent the entire house. It has to be occupied by the person on the mortgage for at least 9 months out of the year. Then we hold the land. We make sure that the subsidy stays in the land, the public investment. We steward that also. And all of this is secured by a ground lease. So the ground lease is the deed and the ground lease and the ground lease rider and all the paperwork that secures that this house is in the CLT and it's not going anywhere. And Newtown absolutely has the right to buy it back from the homeowner. So this is one of my favorite slides because it really does explain what we do. We just keep going in a circle. We just keep going around and around and around with one house. There's one house we had that is actually on its third homeowner. And each of the times we sold it, it was sold to somebody whose AMI was approximately 65%. So the house is staying affordable. We're proving that it's going to go to somebody that's less than 80%, and we're being able to get lower than 80% and into the lower income of 60%. Really, our buyers are between 60 and 80%. Any lower than 60%, and you're really not going to be able to qualify for a mortgage. So those are generally the AMIs that we work with. So stewardship, I've talked a little bit about this. This is the stewardship that Newtown does. We steward the homes. So we do inspections of the houses twice a year, just drive-bys, nothing invasive, just to make sure that everybody looks good, that the house is good. We check in with homeowners to ask them if they're doing okay. The beauty of the land lease is it's only $35 a month, but it helps us recognize when somebody might be struggling. Because when you're missing a payment for $35 a month, there's probably some other things going on. And so we reach out, we ask them if they need any help. We ask them if they want to come in and meet with a counselor or Zoom meet with a counselor as it is now on. So we really want to make sure that our homeowners are successful. That's part of being the developer that doesn't go away. We want you to be successful. We want you to be healthy. We want you to live in a house that's great. And if you want to move on, then we're there for you too. We steward the subsidy too, which is the public funds. So we get money from the counties and the cities to hold in trust and keep the land affordable. So the subsidy is the difference between the total development cost and the cost that we sell the house for. I'll give an example of that in the next few slides too. So how is CLT different than any other down payment assistance programs? It is considered down payment, isn't it? It's considered down payment help because you are lowering the amount of the house, but our restrictions are what really makes the CLT. So if you're just in a typical down payment assistance situation, your down payment back to whoever gave it to you is going to lose its restrictions within 5 to 20 years. These restrictions are never lifted. They are always there. They never expire. You will always have to sell the house back to us for the resale equation. It will always be there, because you're not able to sell the land back at market value. And then the other key that I've talked on is the stewardship and ongoing support. We're there for people. We don't just give you the house and say, good luck. So let's start from the beginning. Let's start on how this actually works. So we find a house on the market, we put in a purchase offer, and we're accepted or countered, or the typical way you would buy any real estate. That's how we start with adding a unit to the CLT. We do have to do environmental reviews, so we have to be careful about where we're buying houses. You know, we love our environmental reviews, and we love that HUD's making sure that we're not putting low-income people in really bad situations. So we get our environmental review done before we purchase the property. It has to be done before we purchase the property. We cannot close escrow until it's been completed. Then after the house is closed, we do radon lead-based paint and asbestos inspections. Those are also required by HUD and the money that we get as the subsidy. We do our home inspection just like any other transaction. This helps us with what we're going to ask the homeowner to do, and helps complete the scope of work on the rehab that we're going to do to the house. The home inspection is incredibly important, and home inspections are incredibly important in general. And if anybody is purchasing a house, I highly recommend that you get them, because it's all the nooks and crannies of the stuff that we don't know to look at. And they're getting down and dirty, and they're going to call around the attic and the ceiling and the roof and figure out what's going on. So we get a home inspection on every house that we buy, regardless of the age of the house, or does it look like it's in good shape. It's all the stuff you can't see that's going to be the thing that costs the most. So then we have the house, and then we do rehab. So we have to pass the HUD housing quality standards. This is for life and safety issues. So someone from the city comes in and they go through the house, and they have a checklist and a sheet that they have to review before they can clear the house to be sold. This is very minimal standards. They're just making sure that GFIs are working and the AC is working and nothing's flooding. So it's not, we pass these because we generally want the house to be in good condition, but you do have to get this inspection before you can sell the house. Then we look at all major systems. We want all major systems to be viable for at least the first 5 years. The last thing we want to do is sell a house to a homeowner and the AC goes out or the water heater springs a leak. That's not really setting our homeowners up to be successful if you have a catastrophic event in the first 5 years that you own the home. So first and foremost are major systems. Then if we have any money left over, then we can get pretty. Then comes the finishes. We're in the process of buying a house right now where the systems are all great. They've all been updated in the last 3 years. So now we're getting to do the fun stuff like repainting and the flooring and the kitchen. So we don't always have to do the major things, but we always want to do the major things if they need to be done. So where do you get your money? How do you do this? The state, the private, state, and local to some extent are theories. We don't get much private funding to do this. And right now the state is still trying to figure out how we can get state projects done, but most of our funding does come from HUD, and it comes from home and CDBG and NSP when there was NSP money. We bought a lot of homes in Chandler with that funding source. So most of our funding sources are federal. The actual operations of Newtown, those donations are private, but the actual subsidy that holds the land is from the federal government. Okay, I know this is kind of small, so work with me on this, but I really thought this was important to show you guys. that this is how we figure out how much subsidy we need. So the initial estimate is when we first purchase the property, when we put the purchase contract together. So this is kind of a guess, an educated guess, but still a guess. The projected costs are when we bid. So now we have hard construction numbers that we can add to where we think we're going to be. And then the actual cost is when we finish the property and we've accounted for all the costs that have been incurred on the property. So we have our acquisition costs, our rehab costs, and then our carrying costs. Then how Newtown makes its money to do this is a developer fee. So then we take 10% of the acquisition and rehab costs, and that is our developer fee. So you can see our total development costs were $306,531. We sold the house for $190. So that means we need $116 to stay in the property to cover that gap. That is what the subsidy is the $116. That's how we calculate that. And that's how we are able to do what we do. Now, what's great about that is it's flexible. Depending on how much subsidy we have, we can adjust the sale price. So the sale price is arbitrary to market. It does not have, it's not based on an appraisal at all. It is based on how much money we have for subsidy and what can the homeowner afford. Those are really the only two questions we have to ask ourselves when we sell a house. We could have sold this house for $200 and used less subsidy, but we try to really meet the buyer where they are. We try to make sure that a person can get into the house, and we do not allow anybody to be over 30% on their ratios when they buy the house. So we make sure that their payment, including everything, including insurance and interest, is not more than 30% of their current total income. So let's look at an example. So this is a real world example we did in 18, and we chose Tempe 85282. That's where we have most of our houses in Tempe. So we wanted to show the difference that this really does make a difference. This really does make a monetary and tangible difference to do the CLT versus the market. So on this scenario, we went with what was for sale in the market. So 215 was about right when houses were selling in 18. Doesn't happen anymore, and I should probably update that. But you can see the taxes and the insurance and the fees and all of that's the same, except for that in the CLT process, you don't need mortgage insurance. Because you're buying the house at less than 80% of the value, you automatically don't need it. That's a huge money saver for our homeowners. That is one of the bonuses of getting a CLT mortgage, is that you don't have to have the insurance. And the insurance is not cheap. The insurance could be up to $600 per month. So it makes a big difference for the long-term affordability of the house. But then we also have the down payment assistance that we use with the Federal Home Loan Bank of San Francisco. And that brings down the price even more because you're walking in and there's already $20,000 right off of the top of the house that was already priced affordably. So you are building wealth, you are building equity, and you are building an asset. And when you go to sell, you are going to see what your asset is. And this is the stewardship part. So we're always there. We have one person dedicated to our homeowners after they buy, and they communicate with her actually pretty regularly on things that are kind of happening after they purchase. So we have a tool library, so they can come and borrow tools. The wheelbarrow seems to be the most popular lately. I think people are doing lawn projects and getting them out of the way. We also have a home repair loan fund at 0%. So if your AC does conk out and your water heater does spring a leak, you can borrow the money from us at 0% to get that fixed. And then we work on the payment terms with you to decide how much you can afford to pay us back at a time. So it's not preset because we don't want to set one homeowner to fail versus another, but it is worked out through meeting with the counselor. And we do require monitoring and make sure that the restrictions are being in place. I also want to address the refinancing. So we do help our homeowners refinance. It's actually mandatory that they come through us if they want to refinance. Because the houses look like they have so much equity in them, because mortgage companies, mortgage brokers more likely, are looking at the current value of the house versus the price the house was bought. And so it looks like there's a ton of equity in our houses. So we've seen that our homeowners are very susceptible to predatory lending practices and frankly, racist lending practices, depending on where they are in the valley. So we want to make sure that they're solid and that they go through a bank that knows how to do this and understands what it is. That has been a big thing around here lately, the refinancing with the interest so low. And then we resale, then we will resell. The homeowner will resell, we will rebuy, actually. So we always buy the house back because it's our money that's on the line. If we lose a house, we have to pay back the amount of subsidy that is held in that house. So we want to secure that we are in compliance and solid and kind of moving it forward for the next person. I see that we're getting a few questions, but I'm almost done with this segment. So I will go back. I'll go back to the questions in just a second and try to get to all of the questions that you guys are asking. And thank you for asking so many questions. So how do we resale? This is the $1 million question, right? This is how everybody wants to know, how am I going to get access to my asset? How am I going to get access to my equity? So we use an appraisal-based formula. So it's based on the improvements of the land and the house. So we get appraisal when we sell the house to the homeowner. So that's the initial appraisal. And when you say you want to sell, we have an appraiser that we work with that we call, and she does another appraisal. So whatever that difference is, the homeowner has access to 25% of that amount. So we buy the house back for that 25% and the initial price. So whatever you bought the house for, then you get the 25 on top of that. I want to make a very clear distinction between appreciation and equity. Equity is the amount that the homeowner has paid down their mortgage. So the entire time they're paying mortgage payments, they are making, that's where their wealth is between what they bought the house for and what they owe on it now. We do not touch that. That is theirs. They paid the mortgage. So that's all theirs. So when we say 25% of the appreciation, that's just part of what they're giving back. They're getting back that other amount that's between those two numbers of what they bought the house for and what they currently owe. So they're getting that on top of the 25. So when we say that we've had 20 resales with a net average of 28,000, that's just the appreciation. That does not include the equity. So this means that they are leaving with at least $28,000, probably and possibly more, because the equity is included in that. People tend to use equity and appreciation kind of interchangeably, but in our industry, there's a really big distinction between the two. So let's look at a resale example. So the new appraised value of the house is $221. Again, this was probably done in 2018. And the initial appraisal was $112. So we have $109 in appreciation and 25% of that is $27. So then we put the initial purchase price, $90,000. And yes, we have sold houses for $90,000 before. And so we buy the house back at $117,250. That is what allows us to continue this cycle of affordability, because we don't buy the house back at market value because the subsidy's in it. There's no more subsidy to put into the property. So we buy it back at a lower rate, at a lower sale price. So then we can resell it again to somebody that is low income, under 80% AMI, and still be able to keep our heads afloat because we do a little bit of rehab still on these. and then resell it. So that's how we are able to keep it in perpetuity, is specifically because of this resale equation. But then you ask, what do you do if there is an appreciation? So where is this going? We figured this out in the, I don't know where that slide went, sorry guys, but I can explain it. So in the foreclosure crisis, when house prices were not appreciating, we were still buying the house back for the amount that the person bought it. So they were still had that equity in it so that they could take that equity. None of our homeowners ended up upside down. None of our homeowners owed anything on the houses that they sold during the foreclosure crisis, because the houses were so cheap anyway, for them to afford. So that it's never, this is not a negative. This is not a, you don't own the land and you only get back 25%, because you will leave with something, or you will leave even if we're in another foreclosure crisis. Let's not hope that happens. But you always tend to leave with something. Any questions? So this is where I said I was getting close to the questions. I believe Lauren has been feeding me the questions that have been put in the Q&A. So let me go back up to the top and I will try to get to as many of them as possible.
And Stephanie, you want me just to ask you the questions? You can sit back and relax.
That would be great, thank you.
Well, how has COVID-19 affected your operations and your projects?
So I think it's affected us pretty much the way it's affected everybody. You can see I'm in my office now, but we are mostly working from home. The staff is. We are doing our counseling, our housing counseling and credit coaching over the phone, which actually has been a blessing. And I hate to use that word during this time, but we're seeing more clients. We're seeing people show up, literally show up, but we don't have any no-shows. We're seeing probably 3 to 4 people a day. And it's been very steady since COVID started. So we're helping more people get financially secure, which is what we all hope for during this time of kind of uncertainty. But actually the CLT is striving. It's thriving. People are seeing this as a solution, and everybody wants a little piece of it. So we actually have not slowed down at all. We've only gotten busier. But we're also being able to serve more people, and I think during this time that is particularly. I think that is not happening always everywhere else. So I'm glad that we are being able to do that.
Thank you. So variations on this question, but do you have any projects in Phoenix? Greg Brownell asks, and what are your plans generally to expand into other cities in addition to Tempe and Chandler?
Okay, I have to say, I did not pay Greg to ask this question, although it's about to sound like I did. We are expanding into Phoenix. We just got finalized on our funding that's going to put us into Phoenix with 5 houses in the next 2 years. So we did get funding from Phoenix. If you've been on those calls, you've heard that there's a community land trust pilot. Yes, that is us. So we're finalizing the details now. We have, I think I will own 2 houses in Phoenix by the end of the year, and we'll have the other 3 probably the next year. The other scenario that's going on is that we have a contract from the county for the first time ever, and we are expanding into county urban cities and county islands. So we just got our first purchase contract on a house in El Mirage, accepted yesterday. So we are moving west, and we're moving far west. So, and in an area that has never had something like this and is in desperate need of it. We're also in talk with almost every West Valley city on funding there and what we can do on the west side. We could be moving as far as Surprise at this point. I didn't know until recently that Wickenburg and Gila Bend are still in Maricopa County, but it's safe to say those will be 2 cities we are not going to.
Thank you. So Jim McPherson, who's a hero to many.
Yes.
To ask, just this is a follow-up. There seems to be only one other CLT in Arizona. It's in Flagstaff. Correct him if he's wrong, but why are there so few CLTs in Arizona? Is there something about our regulatory environment?
So yes, the short answer to that is yes. So Jim, to answer your question, there are 2 other CLTs in Arizona, Town Site in Flagstaff, but that is specifically a historical preservation CLT. They are not looking to expand. They bought in a specific area, and those are the houses they own, and those are the houses that they will always own. So yes, they're a CLT, but they're not actively adding inventory to their CLT. The other one is Pima County Community Land Trust, run down in Tucson, in the areas outside of the actual city. They are the next largest land trust. I think they have lower than 50 in their land trust, but they are looking to expand and looking to add to their fundraising so that they can add units too. So why are there so few in Arizona? Absolutely regulatory and funding. When we were able to go to annual conferences with Grounded Solutions, who's our national advocacy group, everybody would find out that we were from Arizona, and the question we got every time is, how do you do it? How do you do it in Arizona in an environment that does not seem friendly to affordable housing or to CLTs in general? And we do it based on sheer will of some of our cities and the county. We use federal money, but so many CLTs around the country are funded by local taxes and property income, and then on the state level with state housing trust funds, but we just don't have that. So really it's been sheer will from cities and from counties to allocate their home and show to home money to Newtown.
Thank you. Cody Hannah asks, thanks so much to you, Stephanie, and to Newtown for your great work helping folks afford housing. My question is, what can local and state governments do policy-wise to support and expand CLTs? And what are some of the biggest challenges that Newtown and CLTs in general currently face?
So practices for cities, I think that, and Tempe is done it very well. So has Chandler, is to prioritize affordable housing as one of the things that money is going to go to. Really, when people ask, what do you need? Money and land, and that's really it. We can prepare the home buyers, but it's money and land. And so we need cities to take a really hard look at what land they own, what department owns it, so that we don't get in a tug of war with another department over the land, and really prioritize that to be used for affordable housing. With that being said, then you also have to give me the money too. So that 116 that we had to hold in subsidy to make that house affordable, that is about what it's running for every house right now. So it's running about $100,000 per unit. So it's not cheap, but the benefit is it's recycling. We're on the 3rd house in Tempe. That's 3 homeowners that now have had affordable housing. It's not a one-time deal. So the investment is really justified by how long-term we keep the houses, and we keep recycling into other homeowners. So money and land, I would say, are the 2 easiest answers. Oh, Lauren?
So sorry. If your family size changes, can you sell your current home and buy another community land trust house?
You cannot. This is a first-time home buyer program. So we've had that happen, and people outgrow their house, but because we buy it back and they have so much equity that they really can go put a hefty down payment on another house and be able to still sustain themselves in a house, and now they've moved on to market. And if that's what homeowners want to do, we really want them to do that. This is a stepping stone. This is security for seniors, but we also want you to be where you want to be. And we're glad that we could help you get to that point, even while you were living in our house, and then go out into the world and buy your dream house, I guess.
Katie Conway asks, have you done any studies of the difference in wealth built over time for a person who buys a home with traditional down payment assistance on the general market versus a lease-held home in Newtown? And can you also talk about down payment assistance and how that works with Newtown model?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. We have not, Newtown has not done that, but our national parent company, not parent, affiliation company, Grounded Solutions, has done a ton of studies because we all use Homekeeper. It's all our data management, and all of that information rolls up to Grounded Solutions. So they've been able to put together some really amazing studies on kind of trends across the country and trends in regions and areas too. So I would suggest check out their website and see what studies they've done. I think that's an excellent idea. And if they haven't done it already, I would absolutely be willing to pitch that for you. So down payment assistance. Right now, how we're doing that is a down payment program through the Federal Home Loan Bank of San Francisco. It's called IDEA and WISH. And what somebody has to do is they have to save $5,500. The numbers that I gave you just got updated, and I hadn't updated my slides. But so on the slide, it said save 5. They've upped that to 55, and they match it 4 to 1. So even if you don't save the 55, you're still going to get matched 4 to 1. But we really encourage people to save the entire amount so that they get the entire match. So if they save 5,500, they get matched with 22,000. So a home buyer is going in with the 22 and the 5, so $27,000 right off the top. You have instant $27,000 worth of equity, and we're seeing that is a big factor in when we buy the houses and how much equity people are walking away with. Actually, that is a study Grounded Solutions did, and they called us, and Alan was on a webinar about how the down payment assistance is affecting home sellers, the CLT sellers, so drastically, because our numbers were so much more than any of the other CLTs in the country, but they were not using down payment assistance. And so that's a thing that's coming up in the CLT world now, that we kind of started.
Thank you. We're getting a bunch of questions about Tempe's microestates, so you're going to do a little presentation on that after we'll pause in the questions. But
okay,
you generally don't work with tiny homes, though, right? Just micro homes.
Yeah.
To the state.
Yes, because they're not technically tiny homes, they're 400 square feet. We will not work that small, and tiny homes are generally mobile. Our microestates are on a foundation, single family, stick built foundations, sewer, water, everything. So we will only build something that we actually build. Tiny homes are more ordered. So we would like to do more microestates, but that goes back to the cities shake and lose some land. Hint, hint.
So Felicia French, she is actually a candidate for state senate, a veteran, and she's a graduate of our School of Sustainability PhD program. And she wanted to know if you're doing anything with military veterans specifically.
Not specifically. We do work with other nonprofits that work with veterans. We work very closely with Save the Family, who owns Valor on 8th here in Tempe, to do housing counseling, credit coaching kind of stuff. But we don't have a program that specifically targets veterans right now. That has been on our radar for a strategic plan for a little bit. But we've been expanding so fast in the CLT side that's kind of taken our focus. We are all for it. We would love to do it. We just have to make those connections.
So Katie Conway asks, are you providing the potential homeowners with counseling that informs them about the traditional home buying process and supports in place for traditional home ownership versus Newtown project? So are you also letting them know about options outside of the Newtown model?
Absolutely. Absolutely. People who come through our housing counseling side of our business, they are not, most of them don't buy CLTs. Most of them are buying houses directly off the market, just because we can't produce enough CLTs for that many buyers. But the housing counseling side and the development side are considered actually separate kind of entities, so that people who come for housing counseling are still getting the important information that they need, but they're no way obligated to buy a community land trust house at all. So I would say out of every CLT house we help people buy, we would double that with helping people buy off the market, and in other, using other down payment assistance programs and even other housing programs like South Phoenix Village. We did the underwriting and the housing counseling for that project too. So we are very general on the housing counseling side, and want to help everybody be able to afford a house, and not just CLT buyers.
Are you involved at all with multifamily projects? A question from Greg Brunel.
Oh, thanks, Greg. We are not. We are not right now. We would love to buy like a duplex and maybe a fourplex, but we're not looking to get into rentals. And so for home ownership, that adds a little bit extra. We would like to do a townhome project. We had started planning one with the city of Tempe, and then that project kind of got a little derailed. So we do want to do townhomes because the homeowner owns the land underneath the townhome, so it fits into the CLT model very easily. Condos are a little bit harder because it's general land ownership, not specific land ownership. But also we don't have a plan to get into rentals right now either.
Thank you. So what is your vision of CLT success in 10 years? For example, can you double the number of homes? What are the challenges to doing this, and how could you overcome these challenges?
So yes, in the next 10 years, we absolutely can double the houses. We have the opportunity, we have the availability, and that is what we would love to do. Ultimately, we want to offer this product all over the valley, which has not really been happening before, but that's because funding was, it wasn't the priority to do CLT. CLT was weird, it was hard, and it really wasn't like a thing people got. But now that it's proving that it actually is doing what it said it does, now people are looking at it and thinking, oh, now, okay, I get it now. And so we are definitely expanding. I mean, as I've already explained, but we will be expanding to other areas of the valley too. And really what we're gonna need, land and money, I can't help myself. But also, we have to watch the capacity of Newtown. We don't want to grow too fast, too hard, and make that a detriment to ourselves. So we want to be very thoughtful about how we do it and how we build our capacity to be able to do that. And capacity, I mean people generally, but also, is there a better way that we could be doing it? Is there a better way that we could be financing it? Is there a better product that we could create? So in general, I would say on Newtown's end, it would be paying attention to the capacity that we possess. And then out in the community, it would be the access to the land and the money. Lauren, we have about 10 more minutes, and I haven't talked about microestates. Do you want me to jump into that?
Sure, do. And as you're starting that, I just want to thank, that was Mark Rosen's question. He's the director of School of Community Resources and Development at ASU, and such a leader in sustainable development. So thank you, Mark. We're honored by your presence. Yeah, let's talk about microstates.
Okay, let me get this going again. So microstates, this is our super exciting project that we have happening in Tempe with the city of Tempe. These are 13 very small homes that are 600 square feet. We currently have 4 of them sold, and I need to sell 5 before we start construction. So we're estimating that construction will start at the end of the year, by the end of the year, hopefully. So as you can see, it's in a great location. We are right here on this empty parcel of land, right kind of between everything, between the streetcar, the light rail, so close to ASU. Really, we lucked out with this parcel with it being so close to everything. Right now, the 4 that we've sold have been to all graduates of ASU. So I guess they want to stay close. So we're really, really lucky about the location and how this parcel worked out. Really, it's a very specific buyer. This is not for everybody. Small living is not for everybody, but it's just an option that we're giving. We really believe that we need to hit that missing middle of units and offerings, because we've done apartments really well and we've done big single family scattered site very well. Arizona is very good at the 2 of those, We're not so great at everything else in the middle. So we want to increase the offering and the type of affordable housing that we have. I think this is a really important time to get creative. I think we're going to have to start doing some things that we haven't done before, and that might be a little scary, but we've got to start trying new ways and trying new things, because what we're doing isn't creating enough units for what we need. So this is really kind of how the thought of microstates started. So it's not for everybody, but at least it's for somebody. It's for 13 somebodies. So it's something that we're going to try and see how it works and see how successful it is. So really, people want to live in this neighborhood. They want it to be intentional. They want it to be close to things, so they don't have to drive, or they can use transportation, and live in kind of a very community-centered development. So this is the site plan. The 4 dots are the 4 houses that we've already sold. So sorry guys, you can't buy those, but you can buy the others. This is the final site plan. So we have all units are separated except for the ones right down in the corner. Those are connected because we didn't have enough space to space them out. And then the 1-story ADA unit is connected to the community room. And so the price. So this is what it always comes down to, is the question. So we've split the houses. So 7 of them we will sell to people that are below 80% AMI, and 6 we will sell to 80 to 120, which is considered workforce housing. They will all be in the community land trust. So we will own the land under all of them. But we do have products, and we do have some houses in Chandler that we can go up to 120% AMI, which is a great offering, especially, you know, it always breaks my heart when somebody is 81% or 82% AMI. So we're glad that we could kind of split this and not have to sell the 6 at market rate. We were able to secure enough funding that we could keep those on in AMI restricted, as opposed to throwing them out in the market and then losing those units forever. So the 170 for 80% and below, remember that also comes with down payment assistance. So that takes off 27 right off the top on the 170. And then the other units, the 80 to 120, are 210. This is $20,000 below market, and that's really part of the leasehold amount. So that's what's been taken out of the final price. That's the difference between the market and the restricted, is the leasehold amount. So I think we're running right up on time. So I would love to answer more questions, but if you have other questions that didn't get answered or would like to connect with us, here's our information. Our website has a lot of good information on it, and as always, you can email me because I love talking about this, that I will talk about it as long as you want me to.
Thanks, Stephanie. We do have a few more questions. Rodney Bowden asks, do you match any sustainability ITCs or other credits with your projects?
I'm going to say no, because I don't know what an ITC is. So I would say no, we don't.
But can you talk about Tempe microstates? You did get funding from a number of organizations, right, to create energy efficient homes?
Oh, yeah. Yes, we did. On the new construction side. We received a grant from Edward's Mother Earth Foundation to track kind of the energy efficiency of the microstates, and to actually buy material that would increase the efficiency of the microstates, and provide a watering system, a rainwater system, and reusable laundry water. So we have people that are really interested in helping us provide that, but that really works more on new construction and not on our typical CLT model. We also had APS come in and they're going to put solar on the parking structure, just the shade, and on the south facing houses to lower the common area electrical costs too. So yes, other people are getting involved and putting money where their mouth is, and helping us make sure that these are sustainable after homeownership, and can lower prices of the maintenance of homeownership.
Thank you. And Rodney clarified he meant income tax credit, usually for solar. So if any of that was matched, but you have brought in solar to the project, I realize.
Yes.
Great. And then we have a question, it's a good summary question perhaps from Christian. What is the biggest hurdle with starting a CLT? What resources would an organization need to begin the process of creating one?
Oh, you would need a lot, a lot. The creation of a CLT is hard, and hence there's not many around the country, because you have to have community buy-in, you have to have community knowledge, you have to have people that understand it and can sell it and can pitch it. In this weird CLT thing that was happening, then the money and finding people to work there that understand it, and understand the complexity of the real estate transactions with the added CLT issue, but also the stewardship. So you have to have an organization that has the capacity to do that. The stewardship, we have accounting systems in place so that we can track the value of the land and how much the homeowner put down. And, we have pretty sophisticated accounting systems that Grounded Solutions created for CLTs. But so I would say people would be your first hurdle. People that understand it and can do it, and then people who understand it and can explain to policymakers and funders why it's important to do. The other thing would be getting the land and getting that moving. I mean, there's so many CLTs in Grounded Solutions who haven't actually done a house. There are quite a few who are still struggling to get a house or a development off the ground.
Right, and Jim McPherson, Ever the Optimist, is suggesting we pull together an Arizona coalition of community land trusts once we see more land trusts brewing. I think that's a great idea. And would you just like to make a summary statement or a concluding statement, Stephanie? We thank you so much for your participation today, and thank all of the good questioners. We had so many questions, we couldn't get to all of them, but please feel free to email Stephanie at newtowncdc.org and she'll be sure to answer.
Absolutely.
I'd like to just hand it over to Stephanie for her wrap-up synthesizing comment.
Thank you, Lauren, and thank you everybody for being on the call. Lots of names I know, and so I'm super excited to virtually see you. But the thing that I think that we leave on is also an eternal optimist. We can do this. We can add units. We can build units. We can put a different face and name with affordable housing. We can put different product types, and we could try fun and risky things. And we just have to keep moving, and we have to keep it moving forward. And, I'm encouraged that we are having conversations like this. I'm discouraged that, those of us who have been in the affordable housing realm for a long time are still having to talk about it. So what can we do that we don't have to talk about this again in another 10 years? And we're just doing it. We're doing it so well that we don't have a crisis. What's the big, great thing that we're going to do next? And I challenge people to think about that and to think about how we can move the needle. We have 140 properties, which is nothing to shake a stick at, but that's not going to solve the affordable housing crisis. How are we going to band together? How are we going to band together with government and other nonprofits and public agencies to really get this done? Because it's in everybody's best interest that everybody have happy, healthy, affordable housing, and that everybody is being a productive member of society, and the people that want to be. And so how can we meet that need as a group? Because one person is not going to solve this all on their own.
Well, thanks again. Thank you everyone for giving us an hour of your day, and we look forward to continually involving you in our Zoom discussions. On Thursday, we're going to be meeting with Jenny Stevens, an author who's going to talk about anti-racist feminist leadership and climate change, and that's happening at 1 o'clock. So go to sustainability.asu.edu/events and learn more about the events coming up. Thanks again, Stephanie, and thank you, Brandy, behind the scenes.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.